We have
So
not seen
that
Zimikin yet tonight.
and that actually tussles quite well with what Arcante is bringing to this to the match. So that could be a bit of a tipping point there. It gives you a chump blocker as well as taking out a unit.
Oh, interesting.
So
That seems like a pretty good hand, but a good. This one might be even better. Looks like he tossed back a more expensive hand for a cheaper hand, although that other one was pretty good. But Marvin going, that's a good mulligan, though, to get down to a 2-drop and 2 3 drops here.
yeah, and then luckily it curves out quite well. They're able to scout turn 1, play undepleted power in the form of Praxis Insignia on turn 2 to get their Teacher of Humility out on curve. And then that gives them the unit, so the 2 banners come out depleted or refreshed as well. Oh, and then
on the 1-drop too. Good. Look at that. Yeah, little late to the party, but
right on time. Right on time.
All right, Soze going to lead off on here. Devotee of the Sand. So one thing, having played this deck in Expedition quite a bit, one thing that's really important for the even deck is because you can't play a 3-drop in your deck because everything has to be even, having the ramp cards like the Devotee there to go to skip turn 3 and go directly to 4 is critical for that deck because it allows you to either drop your 4-drop or play 2-2-drops because you can't play a 3-drop. So really important to get that ramp on. Makes for a much smoother curve out when you can go 2 into 4 when you're playing an even deck.
So we've been talking about the obelisk all day today, and sure enough, we're seeing it. Oh, very interesting that Arconte decides to still play even-handed golem, drawing 2 cards even with the weights in hand, or weights in play, essentially adding 2 to those. I wonder, do they run a disassociate? Let me check the list real quick.
And this is looking pretty good for Marvin. They're actually going to fire out the obelisk here, and those other units coming down, the 2 Tokuses and the Diogo, are going to be so hard for Arconte to deal with. We got the weights. Drawing the extra cards are going to be more expensive, and having the obelisk down is just going to be so hard. You know, if they run dissociate, I think you got to take care of the obelisk and not the wastes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we've seen it already plenty of times. The obelisk is just a backbreaker in any of these matchups.
Just firing off the units here that are all going to be pumped up, already at 8 power too because of the Tokas. What a curve out for Marvin. This is quite the hand.
Oh, wow. Yep, no answer to weights. So the weights are just stuck there as well as the obelisk. Because like I said, they're not even running Sabretooth. So they have no way of getting rid of unwanted relics, which is quite interesting because I almost feel like Sabretooth is a somewhat free addition, even as like a 2 of if you want to play it just for the relic removal. But it's great against aggro. It's great with an obelisk.
It's interesting. It's great with even-handed golem because it's an even cost spell. So you're right. That is a miss here, not having access to that. I don't really know what Arconte is going to be able to do here. I mean, you can't race. Your creatures aren't going to trade up. I mean, the only hope is that Marvin runs out of creatures, but that's not happening anytime soon.
Huh. Not quite. Well, I guess now that they've pumped, get things off the board before they get an obelisk down. Okay, I could see this attack being effective where you just want to keep their board clear.
Yeah, I think my strategy here on Marvin's side would be every single unit you draw is going to be so much bigger than everything Arconte is going to play that you just throw units at face and they're going to have to stop them. Now Arconte with an obelisk of their own. This is pretty even here. So I take back what I said. What is Arconte going to do? Well, they're going to play an obelisk of their own and make it an even game here.
Well, what pun intended, right? Even game.
Yeah, an even game, exactly.
The interesting thing though is once again that still I think that attack earlier was correct because there the Diogo was able to take out 2 units versus after the obelisk it might have not and just traded 1 for 1. So I think I did like keeping their board a little clear there even if it was aggressive because like you said everything they draw off the top of their deck that is a unit at least is going to be fire. So sadly double damage is not a thing. So
but having charge and double damage on a 5/7 is a pretty good, pretty hefty unit here.
With the Shugo tactics in hand. Ooh. So let's see how aggressive Arconte gets with this block. And they do a very conservative block, and they're going to pay for it.
That's a lot of damage coming through on the overwhelm there.
I'm trying to think if I would have swung with everything, considering that we had man, it's tough because. Yeah, I think they would have to because if they don't double block the Diogo and you have the Shugo tactics, you do exactly what you did, and that's 18 damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
if you
think
do the
they're
exact same play and you attack with everybody, what's Arconte going to do? They can't block any better. Um,
all right. So they have the option of playing Nash, or they have the option of playing the Zumakan. Ooh, and it has charge. So
I don't know if it even matters. That might just be game right now.
no, they have 4
And then chump
blockers.
block. You can chump block the 2. I mean, it's a lot of chump blocks though.
Oh, for sure.
Actually, no, isn't that would just be lethal, right? You have to chump. You block 4 units and you take 3 and 2. Yeah, I think that would have been lethal because you would have had 2 unblocked units either
Oh,
way,
yeah.
coming in for 5.
Okay. Yep.
But not going to matter. I mean, Arcana doesn't have any board wipes. There's nothing they're going to be able to do here, so it's not going to matter at the end of the day. So Marvin the Imp takes game 1 of the
Yeah.
semifinals. Now this is still best 2 out of 3. The finals will be 3 out of 5.
So something to note there, just strategy-wise, is the fact that Marvin had the ability to warp in Zumakan to essentially draw a card and still get in damage. Granted, it didn't change anything power. They were still only able to do one thing that turn. But interesting that they wanted to disguise the fact that they had Zumakan, or they just valued the fact that they could ambush something later on versus getting more aggressive with it.
Yeah, it's possible. Holding information isn't quite as impactful when there's open deck lists like this. But that is true.
No, I think it was more for the ambush value of it, I think.
Oh, all right. Let me reset this real quick. Looks like we got names over the spectating, so bear with me for 1 second while we want to make sure that everyone can see what's going on in that match.
Marvin kept a Praxis Banner, a Crest of Impulse, a Seed of Impulse, a Initiate of the Sands, a Zumakan, a Tokas, with a Heart of the Vault on the top of your deck.
Nice.
Really about the worst time to see a Heart of the Vault. It's always tough because then when you scout, you're like, well, I mean, A, do I want to scout? And B, do I really want to bottom one of the best cards? Ooh,
Yep.
Porcelain Mask coming in and doing some work, silencing the Zumakan. So,
yeah, I've played with a lot of Rost. It was a pretty sweet warp unit in ranked, and that's always an interesting one when you got the Rost on turn 1 on top of your deck, and you're like, oh no, I don't want this yet. But you don't want to toss it to the bottom either.
yeah, and you always got to go back and figure out whether you need to make the adult play or not, you know?
Another good start by Marvin here. Got the Praxis Arcanum down, got a Tokus down with sweet units in hand. Now, the Zumakan may be silenced, but it's still a 4 power 7/7. That's nothing to say.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. See, here's the interesting thing on it. The discount on Praxis Arcanum has some serious value in this deck, but I really don't feel like it's done all that much work. Granted, the last time we saw it, it did play out very well, but I'm still not the most impressed by it.
Silencing the Heart of the Vault there is a little bit more effective. Now these are still big units. They're still oversized units, but making the Heart of the Vault vanilla and the Zumakan vanilla pretty effective for Arconte. That's gonna make this a little bit of an more even game here, and I did not intend the pun that time. I gotta stop using that word. I agree with you. The Praxis Arcanum, I don't know. Marvin the Imp knows better than I do, but I agree that it has seemed a little underpowered so far.
I mean, maybe it's for the mirror match because, you know, they don't have the removal to get your blockers out of the way, but I'm not necessarily sure. But either way, I agree with you. Silencing the Heart of the Vault was huge there, stopping it from being a potential 3-for-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Disciple. You know, Teacher of Humility here with the disciplinary weights. Better in the early game. It doesn't look great in the face of a 6/6, a 3/4, and potentially a 7/7 coming down. And a 1/5, of course, could block as well. So fine 3/3 overwhelm, but not the best time of the game to draw it.
So, all right. So obviously they're going for power efficiency here, but I wonder if you would have played the Merchant, shipping the Teacher of Humility to go get your Obelisk.
Is the Obelisk in the market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have an Obelisk in the market. So initially I thought they were playing the Teacher so they can also play Zumakan, but they didn't. So
Nash hitting, drawing 2 cards there. Ooh, there's your Heart of the Vault. That's where it likes to live. Maybe the Praxis Arcanum is really for the unit cost reduction. You're playing these units that are so much bigger than what everyone else is playing, and if you can get them for even 1 power cheaper, they just become broken. So maybe it's just play out the Praxis Arcanum and get 1 or 2 units, oversized units out for cheap, and can kind of sort of a weird type of creature ramp in a way. You're ramping not in the traditional sense, but you're ramping out oversized units earlier in the game than they're meant to be.
So here we see double
Double
Zumicon up
Zumicon,
top. Yeah, so we see Marvin punished just a little bit for not doing the Heart of the Vault pre-combat. They could have essentially took the even-handed golem off the board and then swung it with Heart of the Vault. Instead, they ended up just doing 2 damage to the face. But I think with all the draws that they're having and having Zoe in hand, I think they're just really far ahead here.
They are. Now, this is a unit you have to respect. Mystic Ascendant can get out of hand very quickly, but it might be too little too late for Arconte. When you're almost facing lethal on board, and then, of course, they don't know that you got 2 more Zumicons in hand for Marvin. But, nice to see a Mystic Ascendant. This card is pretty sweet. And that snowballs pretty fast as well.
Yeah, see, and once again, Teacher of Humility not really doing anything in this board, so I think I would have liked it more like we talked about. If you were going to go ahead and not play out your Zumicon that turn, to play the Merchant, shipping the Teacher to get the Obelisk, and then you were still going to be able to play the Obelisk that turn.
Yeah, and now they go and get the Obelisk here off of the second one, pitching the Jo, which already got you the card and is now not really doing much. And the Obelisk is going to be able to push lethal through here. That's 5 units, 6 units, 7 units. Oh, now you're going to block a little bit.
Yeah, but still no Obelisk on that side of the board. So this one, I mean, granted, there's a difference in mask, overwhelm versus not overwhelm. So all these guys can chump block.
That is true. Marvin can push through 2 damage here with an Alpha Strike, but that's not enough. Wonder if they attack or if they just wait so that they can Zumicon. Oh, they're going to go with the big boys. They're going to put the big boys through, force Arconte to do some trades or some chump blocks.
Yeah, at the very least, this is going to keep some of the board off, so I'm fine with that. Once again, he thought about attacking with Teacher and then pulled back, which I like. There's no reason just throwing it away to the Nash or the Ascendant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you can make the argument that they won't block because they fear Torch, but at the end of the day, if you had Torch, they're at 5, they have to block.
Yeah, if they're at Torch, you just have lethal because you can Alpha and hit with the other 3. I think if you're going to attach with Teacher, like you said, I probably wouldn't there unless you're going to Alpha with everything. If you're just going to Alpha with everything, then if you're going to attack with Teacher, you need to Alpha with everything. Otherwise, you're just throwing it into an 8/8.
So there we did see the slight difference between why having Mask kind of worked out a little bit. So the 7/7 Zumicon died to a 1/1 Deadly Scorpion.
Yep, sure did.
Ooh, Mask.
Gonna silence one of them, but unfortunately, there's another one.
Yep, and there's Sabretooth. Taking out one of the 3 masks, so that's kind of
it's not relevant, needed, but that's good protection against Obelisk. If Arconte had drawn it. Yeah, I agree. I think underrepresented here, the Sabretooth. I think Sabretooth is a good card in these time decks, especially in the mirror.
I mean, you hate to make that argument that's kind of old school Vara, where pretty much if you're running Shadow, you run Vara. But I really do feel like it's the same thing. It's funny, too, because it's an uncommon. It's not even a rare.
Yeah. All right, so I think, was that 2-0? I believe that was 2-0 for Marvin.